Today we commemorate the first Mass ever celebrated on the shores of this country. That was on March 31, 1521, which fell on an Easter Sunday. That is why the CBCP has decided to launch the celebration of the 500th year of Christianity on this day, Easter Sunday, the 4th of April. But I hope you don't get disappointed that the Diocese of Caloocan has decided to postpone the launching of the celebration in view of the ECQ. We will announce when we are going to launch our own celebration when the ECQ is lifted. Let us reflect now on the Gospel. The timing described by John in our Easter morning Gospel is early at dawn while it was still dark. The setting is a tomb in a graveyard, a setting of death. There is grief on the part of Mary Magdalene. There is guilt on the part of Peter, and there is silence on the part of John, the beloved. And there is a situation of confusion. The body of Jesus is missing. The linen cloths are lying around, and all the three characters, Mary, Peter, and John, are running about, searching for Jesus, but not finding him. They are not just in physical darkness, but also in a state of emotional and spiritual darkness. Above all, John simply says, it is the first day of the week. By the way, the first day of the week for the Jews is Sunday, not Monday. The first day of the week. And thus, all of this give you enough clue. Of course, you should know, if you remember your Bible, the story of creation on the first day of the week. Before God begins His work of creation, there is nothing, according to the book of Genesis, chapter 1, nothing but a state of darkness, chaos, and disorder. And then the divine activity began with a simple command. Let there be light. Now, I hope you realize why we simulated that same darkness in our Easter Vigil celebration last night as we lighted the new Paschal candle. It is let there be light all over again. But this time, the light is given a name. Christ, our light. What is resurrection? Resurrection is new creation. That's why we're back to the first day of the week, a new creation. It is not just about Jesus rising to new life, but God starting the first day of the week of creation all over again by saying, let there be light. And that new light is Christ. Christ, the one word uttered by God to create the whole universe. He alone could drive away the darkness of grief that veiled Mary Magdalene and the darkness of guilt that weighed down on Peter First, let us look at the darkness of grief, represented by Mary Magdalene. You remember her dark past? Oh, please, forget about linking her with prostitution. That has no basis at all in the Gospels. Forget about that. The dark past that I'm talking about is the one described by Saint Mark as that woman from whom the Lord drove away 7 demons. Back in those days, in her state of devil possession, she became fully unaware of herself. She was under the spell of evil. She forgot her own identity and her own name. In the movie, The Chosen, and I am looking forward to the next season. After Mary Magdalene is healed, sorry, it's not a movie but a TV episode. After Mary Magdalene is healed, she meets Nicodemus, who had earlier attempted to exorcise her, but failed. And now Nicodemus is shocked because she has fully recovered and she's back to her normal self. He runs after her and calls her by her old nickname, Lilith. And she looks back and she answers, I don't go by that name anymore. I am Mary of Magdala, meaning she is a new creation after being healed by Jesus. But now in the darkness of this grief in the tomb, there is a risk of her plunging back to a state of possession. And so, when the resurrected Jesus meets her, he calls her by name. That's all he does. Mary. And that is enough to lift up her veil of grief. And she is a new creation all over again. Brothers and sisters, how many people are veiled by grief in this time of pandemic? I think they need to hear their names pronounced by the risen Jesus in the midst of this darkness. This darkness is an invitation to become a new creation in Jesus Christ. Now we look at the darkness of guilt represented by Saint Peter. You know, this man is also in the dark. He's lagging behind in the race to the tomb. Well, because he is running not with heavy feet, but with a heavy heart, a heavy conscience. Why? Because he has failed the Lord. He is now enveloped by the darkness of guilt and shame. He is too confused to even see any sign around him. If the Lord is resurrected at all, he would probably not even want to see him. In John chapter 21, we're told that when the risen Jesus appeared to Peter by the lake shore, you know what the reaction was? For Peter, instead of excitedly running to embrace Jesus, he jumped into the water. He wanted to disappear in shame. You know what they say in Tagalog? Parang wala nang mukhang may haharap sa kaibigan. And John says, he jumped into the water because he was naked, which in the Bible is a metaphor for shame and sinfulness. John later describes the scene in chapter 21. And there is a bonfire, and Jesus feeds Peter first before asking him to feed his lambs. Jesus asks him 3 times, "Do you love me?" And only on the 3rd time is the darkness of guilt dispelled by the light of forgiveness and unconditional love. He becomes a new creation. He is transformed by the risen Jesus. Brothers and sisters, how many people are afflicted by fears and anxieties in this time of pandemic? And the thought that maybe they're being punished by God. How many people are feeling guilty about not having loved enough, about not having been physically present to care for their loved ones who died of the COVID-19. In this darkness of guilt, we need to hear Jesus saying, "Do you love me?" And Jesus needs to hear the renewal of our yes to Him, which you will be making at the renewal of our baptismal vows. A yes that will redirect us from our self-absorption to care for the sheep, to feed His lambs. Kapag masyado tayo nakatutok sa pamangailangan natin, sa sarili natin, mas lalo tayong madidepress. Jesus has a way of redirecting our attention to the last, the least, and the lost, even in this time of pandemic. And it is this that Jesus is going to focus on in order to recreate us. There is an old Christian hymn that says, "New life, new creation. Alive our sense of wonder. The time has come to be reborn. The kingdom is right here." And the first verse says, "Do we know within us the call to change our hearts? If we do, the Spirit is alive in us." And finally, we now take a close look at the 3rd character, the silent one, who simply calls himself the beloved disciple. Like Mary and Peter, this young man is also running, but he runs very fast. He runs swiftly. I imagine, like the deer longing for fresh water, the deer, the doe that springs. This is a description of the beloved disciple. He is the one who silently notices all the details which he interprets as signs, like the cloth that has been used to cover his head, the napkin. He probably said to himself, "Oh yes, that's my orderly Jesus." He even found time to roll the napkin separately on a corner. I imagine him with a glint of smile in his eyes while he is absorbing everything silently, just like he did at the lake shore of Tiberias in John chapter 21. He could only cry out in darkness. "It is the Lord," he said, meaning he sees the light. Even in the dark, he could discern his surroundings, because it is the darkness of dawn, that time of the day when the light is about to be born. And that light is God's eternal love in the risen Lord, who constantly recreates the world. Oh, my dear brothers and sisters, on this special Easter morning, in the midst of darkness and the chaos brought about by this pandemic, let us never surrender to despair. Let us not forget the words of St. Augustine. We are an Easter people, and our song is Hallelujah. And so, I wish you all the Easter blessings of peace, hope, and joy, and new life in our risen Lord. Hallelujah.